Over the last few years, the tables have really turned for one publisher in Capcom. I would say if you go back a few years ago, people would talk about Capcom and say their glory days are behind them. They were doing a lot of questionable things. However, since the release of Resident Evil 7 parlayed into Monster Hunter World, and then you had Resident Evil 2 Remake, Devil May Cry 5, they have been on a roll, an absolute roll, releasing quality game after quality game and exploring a lot of the IPs that they own. However, they weren't giving a lot of attention to. Devil May Cry getting a new title in Devil May Cry 5. Mega Man, a lot of justice being done to Mega Man with Mega Man 11 and all of these collections that are being released. For someone like me that has been a Capcom fan for a very long time, and I watched them go through this phase where they were doing a lot of questionable things, where they weren't giving attention to a lot of the franchises that deserved attention, it has been great to see what they've done over the last few years and really regain their momentum. And now with the news of a new Capcom game allegedly being revealed soon, initially delayed due to Sony reworking the PlayStation 5 and the project itself needing additional time, it being a major next generation game by the looks of it, it is very exciting to speculate on what it could be. And I want to throw out some ideas, but I definitely want you guys to sound off in the comments section below and give your ideas, give what you guys want to see, because there's a lot of IPs that Capcom has under their sleeves. There's a lot of games that have been getting attention and IPs that have been getting attention, but they also have a lot of IPs that haven't. Capcom just has a wealth and a bevy of IPs that they could explore. So the floodgates could really be open with this new PlayStation 5 title. A new Capcom game will allegedly be revealed soon. I want to go over the report. According to YouTuber and insider AestheticGamer, the insider, who also goes by the name Dust Golem on the Restera forums, correctly leaked the first details about the Resident Evil 3 remake, and more recently provided information about the next Resident Evil title in Resident Evil 8. That game looks to be a ways away, so I don't think this mystery title is Resident Evil 8. That's probably an idea that a lot of people would have immediately gravitated towards, but that doesn't look to be the case. He has now taken to Twitter once again to talk about a new Capcom title that is said to be announced soon. In his initial tweet, he posted a stock photo of an embryo with the accompanying text, a reminder that all humans were dinosaurs once. With Capcom owning the Dino Crisis IP, and that being a franchise a lot of people want Capcom to go back to, people immediately thought, oh my god, are they remaking Dino Crisis? Are they going back to Dino Crisis on the PlayStation 5? That would be very exciting. That tweet had many people believing that the publisher would soon reveal a Dino Crisis title. However, that doesn't look to be the case either. Apparently, this isn't related to Dino Crisis, and the title was initially slated to be revealed alongside at last year's E3 event. The announcement itself have said to be delayed because of the project needing additional time and Sony themselves having put more focus on reworking the PlayStation 5's planned release structure. They weren't reworking the PS5 itself, just reworking planned release outline and things like that. The tweets from AestheticGamer note, I will say this, the game that's going to be revealed pretty soon isn't a Dino Crisis game. He followed up by saying this game was originally supposed to be revealed alongside Resident Evil 3 at last year's E3, but both the game and the announcement got delayed due to various changes in planning due to a mixture of Sony and Capcom. Sony having to put more focus on reworking the PlayStation 5, again, a replanning. Capcom because this project needed more time in the oven, and I believe but can't confirm that they're making this a cross-generation title, but the next-gen versions got delayed. I don't know precisely when Capcom will reveal the game. I'm not physically in their offices as they make these decisions, but as they originally planned to be revealed last year and released this year, with its delay, it's very likely it's going to be revealed pretty soon. So now open up the floodgates for speculation, and I want to talk about some possibilities of what this game could be, because it's really exciting to speculate on Capcom, because it seems like they're really doing what the consumer wants and what the Capcom fans want. Again, they've been exploring all of these IPs, they've been doing so well, and I feel like a big part of why they're doing so well is because they're listening to what a lot of gamers want from Capcom, and again, they've been knocking it out of the park. Some things I don't think this game is gonna be, I don't think it's gonna be a new Mega Man game. I think Capcom has a new Mega Man game in the works, and they've even said as much, but a Mega Man X9 or something like that, that's not a big budget next generation game, even if it is a cross-generation title. It is going to have a focus on its next generation version, at least that's what I would expect. I just don't see Mega Man as that kind of game. Devil May Cry, I don't think they're gonna go back to the Devil May Cry well this quickly, and if this title had been in the works for quite a while, and it was said to be revealed at last year's E3, Devil May Cry 5 would have been released in March. You wouldn't turn around and reveal another Devil May Cry game that quickly. I think we are gonna get a Devil May Cry 6 based on how well Devil May Cry 5 did, and it is super exciting to see that IP flourish, but I don't think it's gonna be that. Dino Crisis is a franchise I know so many people want to see come back. I do think, just on the basis that Capcom has been listening to people and watching what the gamers have been wanting and kind of assessing that, I do think Dino Crisis at some point is gonna make a return, but based on what AestheticGamer noted, doesn't look to be a new Dino Crisis title, even with the mention of dinosaurs. Personally speaking, I would love to see the return of Onimusha. I feel like Capcom releases these remasters to gauge interest in certain franchises, and of course, Onimusha kind of had an out-of-nowhere remaster be released on the PlayStation 4. Wasn't the best game in the world, and it definitely hasn't aged well. Going back and playing it on the PlayStation 4, definitely could see it's aging. I mean, it is a really old game at this point, but I think Onimusha has a lot of potential, and I would love to see that franchise make a comeback. I don't think it's that, however, and I don't think it's Okami 2 either. Okami is another franchise I'd love to see make a comeback. Okami is a game, unlike Onimusha, that I think has aged really, really well. Going back and playing Okami HD was a blast, and I hope that Capcom at some point goes back and does another Okami game, but I don't think it's that. So what could this mystery game be? Well, I'll throw out some ideas. How about Dragon's Dogma 2? Now, this is one that I know everybody wants. It is shocking to me whenever I talk about Capcom, because I knew that Dragon's Dogma had a fandom, but whenever I talk about Capcom and the games I want to see from them, everybody comes out of the woodworks in the comment section saying, we want Dragon's Dogma 2, we want Dragon's Dogma 2. Dragon's Dogma was one of the best RPGs released on the PlayStation 3. Of course, it did get a remastering on the PlayStation 4, and that version turned out really well, because one of the issues with Dragon's Dogma, and really the only issue, was from a technical standpoint on the PlayStation 3, and on the PlayStation 4, of course, those handcuffs got completely removed. The game did really well with its PC release. I think the fan desire for Dragon's Dogma 2 is absolutely there. Not only that, Dragon's Dogma was one of those games that, even if you never played Dragon's Dogma on the PlayStation 3, once you see that game, once it's marketed properly, that's a game that's going to resonate with a large majority of the PlayStation audience, and that game's going to do really, really well. And again, there has been that clamoring. There's definitely been that building of the fandom of Dragon's Dogma over the last few years. I don't know if you guys played Dragon's Dogma right when it came out, or if this fandom has developed over the last few years, but that's what it really seems like to me, because I loved Dragon's Dogma back when I initially played it in 2012 or 2013. I thought it was a phenomenal game, but I definitely did not notice the level of fandom even in like 2014, 2015, as I am recently. Recently, it seems like everybody wants a new Dragon's Dogma title from Capcom. And again, I think Capcom really stays in touch with its audience now, and I think they do know that people want to see a new Dragon's Dogma title. Is the game in development? I don't know, but I would absolutely love to see it. How about Monster Hunter World 2? I think this is entirely possible. I know that they're still committed to Monster Hunter World. I know that's an experience that they're still rolling out. Doesn't really make a lot of sense given the fact that Iceborne came out in September, and if they were to reveal Monster Hunter World 2, it wouldn't be at E3 of last year, so that doesn't logically line up as far as the timeline is concerned. But Monster Hunter World 2 is a game that I think will absolutely happen, and let me offer you why. Monster Hunter World was a gigantic success on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and PC. The PC version did really well, and Iceborne and Monster Hunter World itself is one of the most played games on Steam. They would be foolish, and I'm sure Capcom is thinking about, hey, we need to get Monster Hunter on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X as soon as possible, just because of how successful that game has been and how much residual revenue that game has generated. Not necessarily because they are pumping in microtransactions or anything like that. They've only done one expansion, and that was Monster Hunter World Iceborne. That did really well. But really, Monster Hunter World is one of those games that has always been in the news cycle because they were rolling out updates consistently, and they were always making the game considerably better, and people were just checking it out over time. The game has sold an astronomical number of units, north of like 10 million. That is insane. Monster Hunter was never this colossally huge franchise where everyone knew about it, everyone would talk about it, and it would be this major game. It was a game that, yes, in Japan was big, but over here in the States, Was Monster Hunter Freedom really that big on the PlayStation Portable? Was Monster Hunter Tri really that big on the Nintendo Wii? Not at the level of Monster Hunter World, and I'm sure Capcom now realizes, hey, Monster Hunter is a gigantic IP over here in the West, and we'd be foolish not to bring it over to the PlayStation 5 at some point. I don't know if it'll be titled Monster Hunter World 2, whatever it's titled, I assure you that at some point Monster Hunter will be making its way to the PlayStation 5. They'd be foolish not to go that route. And then, of course, there is the idea of Resident Evil 8, again, based on what we know thus far, and AestheticGamer reported this as well. Resident Evil 8 is still a long ways away, and it does look to be featuring the return of Ethan. Some information about that game has come out pretty recently. Resident Evil 8 is a game that's definitely going to happen. It's definitely going to be on the PlayStation 5. I just don't know if that game necessarily lines up with the dinosaur thing. When I heard about the dinosaur thing and it wasn't Dino Crisis, I immediately thought Monster Hunter World, and then I thought, hey, Dragon's Dogma, kinda? I don't really know, but that Resident Evil 8 at this point, I don't think it's going to be coming anytime soon. You've got the Resident Evil 3 remake being released this year. I don't know if they're going to keep this consistent yearly release of Resident Evil going. The quick turnaround of Resident Evil 3, from Resident Evil 2 to Resident Evil 3, I should say, really surprised me, and I don't know if that's going to be a consistent thing. Hey, more consistently great Resident Evil games is something I'd be all over, but it was noted that this game was said to be revealed alongside Resident Evil 3 last year. I mean, it would be completely logical if you just reveal two Resident Evil games side by side. They've done that before. We saw it with like Gears of War with Gears 5. They announced that Funko Pop game or whatever. That's something we see regularly, and when Square Enix announced Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy 15, an update on that side by side, that stuff we've regularly seen, so I wouldn't put it past them to announce Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil 8 side by side. I just don't think that was the game based on the information we've heard about that, and it's still seeming to be a ways away at this point. So personally speaking, I would love to see Dragon's Dogma 2. I would love to see some of the other IPs getting explored like an Okami or an Onimusha, but I mainly want to hear from you guys. What is Capcom's mystery PlayStation 5 game? And not necessarily, I don't want you guys to speculate what you think it could be. What do you want it to be? Capcom's got this bevy of IPs that they can explore. I think the majority of the comment section is going to be filled with Dragon's Dogma 2, but I'd be all over an Okami 2. I'd be all over that proverbial Dino Crisis. Dino Crisis remake would be phenomenal. Onimusha being explored again. I think Onimusha is a great franchise that deserves a lot more love, so sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.